East Montgomery County Improvement District's Board of Directors, and as is always the case, we begin our meeting with a prayer and the pledge to the two flags. I would ask Director Hessen to lead us in prayer, and Director Carlisle to please lead us in the pledges.
Thank you, dear Lord, just thank you for this day, and thank you for the opportunity to serve this great community. We just ask that you be with our family and friends, keep your hand of protection on our community. Just give us all safe journey home. Just thank you for all the blessings.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge allegiance to the flag of our country and state. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
State flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, the first item on our agenda, or excuse me, the second item. First item is to consider comments from the members of the audience, and no one has signed up to speak. So we will move on to the next item, which is to consider and act upon approval of the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting held on April 14th, 2015. That was a morning meeting. And April 14th, 2015 afternoon meeting, and April 30th, 2015 evening meeting.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, by Director Ibarra and a second by Director Hessen. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. The next item is to consider approval of community development grant funding requests and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
And these items we went through during a workshop and are for your approval at this board meeting. If you guys would like to go through them one at a time or a group of them, kind of how would you like to go through them and proceed? You know, do one at a time. We can do that. The first one is the East Montgomery County YMCA of Greater Houston, and this is for their Camp Wachitumi 11-week summer day camp. And we're looking for funds requested of $3,500 and with a match of $77,755.
Do we want to vote on these as we go?
I'll make a motion that we accept this grant.
Okay, so we have a first by Director Carlisle and a second by Director Pearson. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of approving? I'm sorry.
Frank, I think you said it's Camp Wachitumi.
That's a different grant.
That's different.
Sorry.
But it's still, but everything else was correct. It's the $3,500 for the YMCA camp.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, this is a summer day camp budget. Summer day camp. Sorry. The next one's the camp. Right.
Okay.
Correct numbers. There we
So
go.
my motion is to accept the EMCID
Yeah.
YMCA of Greater Houston's grant as written.
And your second still carries. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of approving the grant? It's unanimous. Thank you.
So now we're ready for Camp Wachitumi. So that we just jumped ahead by one. This is with a grant request from Montgomery County Youth Services. Funds requested of $6,000, and they have matching funds of $26,525.
So moved.
Okay. Director Pearson. Thank you. Director Pearson makes the motion to accept the grant, and Director Rogers places the second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? And it's unanimous. Thank you.
The next grant applicant is from the City of Roman Forest. It's for playground equipment for the city park and to replace deteriorated equipment. Funds requested is $9,000 with a matching of $4,500.
Motion to accept.
Okay. So we have a motion by Director Rogers.
Second.
And a second by Director Hessen. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
You have to abstain though.
Yes. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Was that supposed to be for playground equipment or for exercise equipment on the walking trail?
I think it was both.
For both?
We have a
It is
representative
both.
from the city.
It's for both.
Yes, yes.
Thank
I just didn't know if it was two grants.
One to cover both. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, so there's 7 in favor, any opposed?
I respectfully abstain.
And 1 abstention. Thank you. Okay,
The next applicant, City of Roman Forest Police Department, and this is for body cameras for the Roman Forest Police Department. Funds requested is $1,739.82 with matching funds of $869.91.
okay. Okay, thank you. I've got a first by Director Pearson and a second by Director Rivera. Is there any discussion?
The, we did 1730,
Yes.
and these for body cameras?
Yes.
Correct.
Could we just do the whole thing?
That was going to be my question. Good, great minds. This shows that it is to outfit 6 police officers. Are you representing? Great, thank you. This is for 6 officers, correct? And how many do you need to completely outfit the police department?
What I proposed that 6 would get us by, but that we'd have to share one
Okay.
with the 2 supervisors on a swing shift. But if we did 10 at 435, 10 would take care of everybody.
And that's $435 a piece?
Piece, I'm just gonna do the math real quick.
If it's $10, it should be
$44.35.
$44.30.
4350. So the difference is 1740. 1740. Yeah, so 1740, and that'd be a 4350. That'd be fair for everybody.
$43.50 would be the total to outfit every officer
Yes,
within the
ma'am.
police department?
That's all
Okay.
full-time, part-time.
And is that your,
I would like to make a motion that we fund the whole entire, whatever, 4350 or whatever it is.
That's
Okay.
something.
Carlisle don't need one, we don't.
do we need to
He's
have
already got more cameras
We need-
now than he needs.
a motion to amend? Are you making a motion to amend?
Yes.
Okay, that is your motion on the floor? Okay, so we would need a
Amend
second.
the bill to the 4,200 and whatever dollars it was,
43.50
4350.
and second? You want to second it? Okay. All right, so we have a first to amend it to 43.50 for all 10 officers. And then we have a second by Director Zepeda. So is there any further discussion? All in favor? 1 abstention?
I respectfully abstain.
7 in favor and 1 abstention.
Glad we could help y'all.
Be sure Carlisle don't get one, okay?
And then we need to vote on the original motion? Okay,
As amended.
as amended. Okay, so we're going to vote now on the motion as amended. All in favor? Okay, 7 in favor and 1 abstention.
Abstain.
Thank you. We good now, council?
All right,
43.50. I'm sorry.
No. Next applicant we have is Montgomery County Historical Society, and this is for moving a power line easement by Entergy for them to move the historical building they have at ESD 6 down to an area where they want to put in a new museum. And the funding request is $11,000 to move the building, or actually to move the power line from the easement by Entergy.
I so move.
I'll second.
So we have a first by Director Rivera and a second by Director Zepeda. Is there any discussion?
I have one question. Why is there no match on this? Do they have matching funds? They just didn't put it down?
Yeah, the Historical Society typically just has real difficulty in acquiring funds for their needs, and they consistently just get by. They just get by.
And what they do is amazing, actually. If you get a chance to look at it, it preserves the history of this area. It's awesome.
Suzanne, you had a couple comments.
They are using funds, but they're not using it as matching to do the cleanup and take down an old fence, and it's thousands of dollars that they're trying to work on a grant, but if they don't get it, they're gonna raise the money to do it, but they didn't have the matching funds at the time.
And they have to have the lines moved in order to move it anyway.
Yes, they can't do anything until they have the
Okay,
power lines moved.
thank you.
But they do have funds available to do all that cleanup work and move the house, move the building and everything.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to say that a good time to go see what they do is at the Sawmill Festival next month. It's awesome what they do.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? And it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
All right, the next project you have is with Splendora ISD. This is the Splendora Junior High Audio Video Club. And these are the startup funds for the 15-16 academic year. They're requesting $8,000 with $4,000 in matching.
So we
Okay, Director Director Pearson and seconded by Director Carlisle. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Oh, you too, thank you. Are y'all, you're abstaining? Okay, so we have 7 to approve, approve it and 1 abstention. And thank you.
Next request you have is once again at the Splendor ISD, and this is for their junior high science club. Those are startup funds for the science club, and they're requesting $4,000 with matching funds of $2,000.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a first by Director Pearson and a second by Director Carlisle. Is there any discussion on it? All in favor? And 1 abstention, 7 approved, and 1 abstention. Thank you.
So the next grant request you have is through Splendor Youth Baseball Association for playground equipment for the baseball playground at the sports complex. Funds requested $39,529.38 with matching funds of $20,363.62. And considering as far as the funds that we had budgeted for the year, we looked at tabling this request and moving it to our October grant cycle.
And didn't we also recommend tabling then item number 11 on Heaven's Army and 12 on Mullane Horizons for the same reason, moving those to October because of our remaining funds for this fiscal year?
That is correct.
Could we do a motion for all 3 of those to move those to October? Or do you want to take these each separately, Madam Chair? So,
If it's going to be the same motion for each one of them.
number 11, Heaven's Army Resources, and number 12, Mullane New Horizons. The recommendation is to move those to the October funding.
Can we go out of turn like that, Council? 2? Okay. Then we can do it that way. Are you making the motion?
Yes, that's the motion.
It's going to be for those 3 to move to the fall cycle. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So we have a first by Director Pearson and a second by Director Hessen. Is there any discussion?
We're moving it to October.
To the fall cycle. Those 3.
Brenda, what's it do with the youth baseball, Heaven's Army, and New Horizons?
It was recommended that they be moved to the fall cycle.
Those 3?
Those 3. That's the motion.
Well, I was looking at the New Horizons, and do they need that now, or is that something they can wait for?
When I talked to them, they do need it now, and they're going to go ahead and purchase the van and get along the best that they can, but certainly would ask us to reimburse them come the October funding cycle. But I did talk to them, and they're to the point that they need to go ahead and get their van, so they're going to go ahead and do that.
I'd really like to fund it.
So do you want to amend the motion?
If I have backing on it, I'd like to, I'll make a motion to amend that motion to not include the New Horizons.
Frank, what does that do on your end, budget-wise, or?
We're going to go over budget.
Yeah, we'll be over.
I'd like to at least consider it separately.
If we funded all at the level that we've just approved, and then, let's see, item number 10, the Mission Northeast, that would bring us to $94,860.50.
And we had about, Suzanne, was it
We
70?
were already about 37,000
Right,
over
right.
without this one.
Right. So we were already over about 37,000 before this one, but
Put it about 60 over.
yeah,
I think we're also over on the income, aren't we?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm willing to go over if we're going to be putting this money into the community. So, hopefully somebody else feels that.
I feel the same way. If it's for the benefit of our community, they do a great job.
So the
Help
motion
them-
is
help them
to
people.
amend and only move the Splendor Youth Baseball and the Heaven's Army to the fall cycle and go ahead and vote to fund the New Horizons. You want to just pull that one out of the,
My motion is just to pull it out, and we'll reconsider and talk about this one individually.
okay.
So,
Okay, and so there's a first by Director Carlisle and a second by Director Hessen. Is there any discussion?
We're gonna pull the motion out, and then we're gonna re-enter it and re-discuss it. So we're gonna-
The motion is to
Not
amend.
the whole list.
Right, so the motion's to amend. And we have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Could I just ask that the motion on the floor be restated?
Yes, the original motion on the floor was to defer the Splendora Youth Baseball Association, the Heavens Army, and the New Canaan New Horizons grant request to the October grant consideration. That motion, then there's been a motion to amend that to delete the New Horizons from that motion, so that if it passes, the effect of it would be that you would simply be deferring the Splendora Youth Baseball Association and the Heavens Army grant request to October, and then you would be moving on to consider the other grants that you have left, including New Horizons, as they come up.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for that clarification. Is there any other discussion?
I was wondering about some of these entities, if they're applying for CDBG money, or have they been asked or to look into CDBG money?
That would be a good question for you to ask them.
Yeah, because I mean, it's available, and we never got the word on this side of the county about the community development block grant money that's available for some of our 501s and some of our other businesses out here. And I sat on that board for several years, and all the majority of them were from the other side of the county, and that money's available for the entire Montgomery County.
Thank you for sharing that, and I don't believe there's anybody here to answer that question, so we'll let you go ahead and ask them.
Maybe it would be good to get that information when they apply here, give it to them along with their application.
Lenora Purvis has applied for CDBG, and that's what prompted her grant here, because of things she had to get in order to get the other grant.
Right.
So,
Okay,
That's
so we'll go
great.
ahead and vote on the motion that's on the floor. So all in favor of the motion as our
Motion to
council?
amend.
The motion to amend as stated. Raise your hands. All in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay, so the motion passes. And now we'll vote on the original motion. Is that correct, council?
Yes,
Okay, so the motion is to
the
defer
original motion as amended.
as amended. Okay, so is there any discussion on that one?
We're gonna, now we just gonna put this Splendora baseball on October.
And Heaven's Army.
And have a,
Okay, all right, all in favor of that motion? And opposed? Okay, so 7.
To 1.
So the motion passes. Okay, so we move on to the next one. Which should be. Should go down. Because we have to do this. Didn't we decide?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and we'll just, the next applicant we have is 5-Star Regional Education Alliance with Lone Star College, and we considered that one and recommended moving that to the Scholarship Foundation for their consideration. So there's nothing really to act on that one, but just so you know.
Is that the board's decision is to divert, or to send it?
Do we need to make the
I make a
motion?
motion that we take no action on it.
Or to send it to this one?
Or should it say, okay, I'll make a motion that we send it to the Scholarship Foundation.
And you second it, Director?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have a first by Director Carlisle and a second by Dale. Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor?
I'll abstain.
So we have 7 in favor of and 1 abstention. All right, so the motion passes. Okay.
And the next applicant we have is Mission Northeast. The request is for a freezer cooler combination unit and everything that goes along with the new freezer unit. Funds requested $49,010.50 with matching funds of $24,139.50.
So moved, and I believe Pam also told us that she has applied for and received some of the community block grants.
Right.
Thank you. So we have first by Director Pearson. Director Martin, is that you? Thank you. Second by Director Martin. Any discussion? All in favor of approving it? And it's unanimous. Thank you.
And then we're back to New Horizons. New Canaan New Horizons, the request is to replace their existing van. And the funds requested $28,712 with matching funds of $14,142.
Okay. So we need a first motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve this.
Okay.
I'll second it.
So we have a first by Director Carlisle and a second by Director Hessen. Is there any discussion? All in favor? And it is unanimous also, thank you.
And then the last applicant we had was Porter Drug and Alcohol Screening, and one of the considerations we had was they're not a nonprofit. However, talking to them, it would be a good project to move forward if they're partnering with a nonprofit maybe for our next grant cycle. It's a great project for the area, but typically our grant program is for 501c3s and nonprofits in the area. So if they partner up with someone, it would be a good project in the future for the board. That's kind of where we ended
I'll
up.
make a motion that we decline.
Okay, so first to decline and a second.
Frank, so is that gonna be the answer to this?
We need a second before. Okay, thank you. We have a first by Director Carlisle and a second by Director Martin. Now open for discussion. Thank you.
They'd have to partner up with somebody that has a 501?
Correct. With our grant programs, we typically, the for 501c3s and nonprofits within the district boundary. So once again, it's a great program. It's a great, great service to our community. But if they were to coordinate that with a local nonprofit, then come back and reapply as a nonprofit applying, then it meets the criteria for being a nonprofit in the application process.
I had talked to him after the meeting, last meeting, and I told him that the police department, my police department, or maybe other police departments will be able to.
Yeah, he cornered me at that meeting at the school, and I didn't know the answer. So.
I have a question for you. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Martin. If it doesn't fall on our guidelines, why is it here on our desk?
He didn't know.
No, but I mean, why did it get this far to us? It seemed like it would never get to the board for a vote if it doesn't fall on our guidelines.
Once again, any applicant we have is going to come to you for your decision. Once again, we don't want to have the staff in a situation that we're making decisions on things.
Okay.
It's for your all's decision, and that's why it's of you.
And Scott, at that meeting, he did address the board, and he did say that he did not realize that he did not meet the criteria. And that was when we did have a discussion with him and asked him to partner with somebody, or like Director Carlisle said, he discussed about getting other funds from other organizations.
I believe in this project.
That's great.
It just needs to be presented by a government or a nonprofit.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor of declining that one? Raise your hand. And it is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item is to consider financial, bookkeeping, cash flow, and investment reports, and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including authorizing the payment of invoices presented or shown in such reports.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Anthony Lasky, filling in for Kay Townley tonight. Just two things to point out from your supplemental and your regular bookkeeping report that we have. The only two things were that there was a transfer from your Plain State Bank to taxable for $600,000. That was because the pledges were over for Plain State Bank. And then the other one is on page 7 of your supplemental report, just showing all the disbursements that took place prior to your regular report and your supplemental report being processed. If there was any other questions.
Okay.
I just had one quick one.
Sure.
Make sure I read this right. We're $206,775 over from what we budgeted. I'm on page 8.
Page 8, okay.
Sorry.
For which line?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Column 6, just below the solid line. Total income, 206,775.
206,775. Which line was it again? I'm sorry.
Total income.
Total revenue.
Yeah.
Total revenue.
Is that 206 over? Is that? Am I reading that correctly? I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
That's correct.
Oh, I see it. I'm sorry. I was looking at the other line below it. No, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
To me, yeah. Over.
Okay.
That is correct. Yeah, there's 206,000 more than what we had originally budgeted for, so it's over.
Okay.
Which is where we can take money from there to fund the grants. Thank you.
Do we have to amend the budget or anything? Or
No,
just
no,
simply go?
we're just, okay, so we would need a motion to approve the financials. So Okay, Director Pearson has made a motion to approve the financial statement. Is there a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Rivera. And is there any further discussion? All in favor of approving it? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next item is to consider approval of license agreement with the Houston Metro Go Texan Committee of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
This is basically our agreement with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo for them to utilize the property out at the industrial park for them to have their skeet shoot. So it's just a licensing agreement we allow it. The same document we have every year. They just need to fill in the dates, get it back to you, get y'all to execute it, and then they'll execute it through the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So just want to go ahead and get that approved and then have them get it executed so we can allow them to utilize it properly.
So moved.
So we have a first by Director Carlisle and a second by Director Hessen. Is there any discussion on the matter? All in favor? And any opposed? Director Zepeda, are you opposed? In favor? Okay, thank you. So we're unanimous. Thank you. And the next item is announcements. Anybody have any announcements?
I'll point out that this week is National Police Week, so if you see a police officer, go thank him at least. There's plenty of ceremonies, especially Saturdays, there'll be ceremonies everywhere.
Stephen,
Attend
thank
one.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
service. Okay. Any other announcements? Yes,
I'm going to brag, we had our college graduation on Saturday, and we had about over 1,000 students graduate, of which about 110 were early college high school students from both, about 60 from Splendor and about 60 from Humboldt. These are kids that are receiving their associate degree before they're earning their high school diploma.
None from New Caney?
New Caney's only finishing up their second year. They only have 10th graders, so they have to start from the 9th grade.
Okay.
So New Caney's our third early college high school program, so in 2 more years, we'll have New Caney graduates joining Splendora and Humboldt.
Yeah, New Caney was the last of the 3 to join.
that's great. Any other announcements? Don't forget about the Sawmill Festival. Well, that'll be for next month.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, then the next item we'll move on to is to recess to executive session to discuss real property matters pursuant to section 551.072 Texas Government Code, pending or contemplated litigation pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code, matters in which the duty of the attorney to the district under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with chapter 551 Texas Government Code pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code, personnel matters pursuant to section 551.074 Texas Government Code, and economic development negotiations pursuant to section 551.087 Texas Government Code, and we are in recess. And it is 6:59. It's 10:14 and we're back in session. Okay, 10:14. Yeah, 10:14. The next item on our agenda is to consider approval in principle to the modifications to development agreement and authorize preparation of second amended and restated economic development agreement by and among Sig Valley Ranch Limited, Valley Ranch Town Center Limited, East Montgomery County Improvement District Economic Development Zone Number 1, and the district, and the taking of any actions required therewith. Okay, so we have a motion made. Thank you. We have a motion made by Director Rogers and seconded by Director Pearson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. The next item is to consider status of the development of the district's 12.85 acre site, including the construction of improvements and the lease of space in the district's office building and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including status of condemnation by TxDOT relative to Grand Parkway.
Just one comment to you real quick, just so you're aware. With the lines that have been put in, Suddenlink was here today, CenterPoint was here last week. All those lines that are now coming together close together, they have cut some of the fiber optics, so you're aware. They're going to have to rerun the entire fiber optic line from our building down 59. So just so you see some more stuff going on, you'll say, what the heck, they already did that. But some of the contractors have got onto each other's lines in there, and they had a major issue this morning. And they're going to try to catch up on some stuff this weekend. So we will have some people up here this weekend kind of just watching what they're doing and ensuring that that stuff gets done correctly so we don't have any power issues or any other interruption of service in the building. So just so you know.
Okay. The next item is to consider report on activities within the industrial park and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including status of dirt sale at a future detention pond, including status of contract with TDG for excavation and delivery of dirt, status with Quadvest Construction for construction of roads to serve Section 3, approval of plans and specifications and authorized advertisement for bids relative to construction of roads to serve Section 4, status of plat of Section 3 and Section 4, status of contract with Quadvest Construction for construction of wastewater lift station, status of contract with Quadvest for water distribution and wastewater collection facilities to serve Industrial Park Section 3. I think that covers you.
Yes, it does, A through F. Sale of dirt at the future detention pond with the status contract with TDG. We are still, Frank is in negotiations with some of the landowners out there. At this point, nothing has gone forward with those landowners. They're still in some design phase and some decisions that still have to be made and agreements with EMCID. Item B, status of contract with Quadvest for construction of roads to serve Section 3. That contract has been signed, so we are under contract with them. However, we will not do any of that paving work until after the dirt work is done, because the dirt work, which is Rebel Construction under contract with the MUD, has to build the road bed before they can come in and build the road. So that we are working with Rebel to get them out there. Plans and specs, advertisement for bids relative roads to serve Section 4. We're working through some final road alignments and some land plans on that. We anticipate that, if all goes well, within the next month. We can get that resolved. Same thing with status of plat for Section 3 and 4. We can't finalize a plat until we have that final road alignment done. Once we have that done, we'll submit the plats. E, contract Quadvest construction of wastewater lift station. That contract has been executed, and we're going to work with Quadvest to see if we can at least get them in and get that contract started without spending a whole lot of money on dirt. That area, we've got about 2 feet of fill, but it's a small fill area, and so we're going to see what we can do to get at least one of these contracts started. And then the Quadvest for water distribution and wastewater collection facilities, that will go in. Again, we've got to get some dirt work done. What we don't want to do is have our sewer lines in, our water lines in, all of our fire hydrants in, and then have the dirt contractor come in and bury all of them. So we've got to get that dirt work kind of leads us into our utilities and our paving. And again, we are working to try to get all of that done, but it comes down to some road alignments and getting those things taken care of. So if all goes well, like I said, we should see some action out there within the next month, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, in regards to some of these items that you had just mentioned, how much is that going to be reimbursed to the improvement district from the MUD district?
I can't speak specifically because that is a board decision, but I will speak from previous projects out there. It's reimbursed at 100%.
Okay. I want to mention that because some of the new board members may not be aware of what we agreed to here and how we get reimbursed from the MUD district that's already out there.
Yeah, let me clarify one thing. The MUD does not have paving or road powers, so the MUD will not reimburse for the roadway, right. But the MUD does reimburse for water, sewer, drainage, all the stuff related to utilities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you. You need to go through the meeting.
Nothing on GH.
Okay, there's nothing then on the next 3 items. So item J,
Once again, with item J, we're working through a purchase agreement for a small tract of land to allow us to save some substantial money on some water and sewer drainage improvements at the industrial park. And that contract is currently with the landowner. And we have David working with their attorney on trying to get that resolved. But that's kind of where we are, and it's doing pretty well so far, and should be able to get that wrapped up in the next 30 days.
Okay. The next item is to consider status of preparation of demographic study by LDP on placement of splash pad park within the district and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith. Nothing on that, okay. The next item to consider status of incentive agreement with Sates and Centers Brewing Company and the taking of any action required in connection therewith.
And visited with them this week. How many of y'all, several of y'all been by there? How many of y'all been by there and talked to them? You talked to them? You get any free samples yet?
I got a tour.
Dang, okay.
I got a tour, but they hadn't set
Tour?
up.
Okay, yeah, they're, give them a couple of months, 2-3 months, and then they'll, we'll see what kind of product they're producing. So, in any event, they're doing extremely well, very excited to be in the area and should be up and running. They have a large order of equipment that should be here in about the next 30 to 45 days. So next time, if you want to swing by, you'll see some of the other equipment and the broom equipment that should be coming into the facility. So just to let you know, it's updated.
Okay. Thank you. The next item is to consider status of incentive agreement with Splendora 2090 Property LLC or its assignees and the taking of any action required in connection therewith.
And nothing to report on that one right now.
Okay. Next item is to consider approval of development agreement. Okay, whichever. There's nothing on that one. Okay. The next item is to consider review and approval of amendment to contract of employment between the district and Frank McCready and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
I'd like to move that we extend Mr. McCready's contract for another year, making that a 3-year contract with a 3% increase in base pay and an additional 3% as part of the incentive for current compensation, and also prepare an amendment to the contract addressing the scholarship foundation and the deferred payment will hold that for future years.
Okay. So the motion's made by Director Pearson. A second. Second by Director Rogers. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I believe we were supposed to do those as two separate.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't do the.
Yeah. This is on the
3% for this year, this is just for the amendment.
contract.
Okay.
Well, she said it all. Oh,
That's
that's
just
just
for the
okay.
contract. I mean, I think that-
That's just the contract.
This
Yes,
is everything except for the 2015
3%.
incentive payment, right?
Yes.
Which you're going to do the separate.
We're setting up in the future.
The 3% incentive for
Okay.
2015 is $10.
Okay, so this is just on the contract extension and revisions to the contract. Any discussion? All in favor of extending the motion? And it is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, and then the motion for the
amendment to the contract addressing,
Award the incentive of 3% for this year.
so the motion is to do an amendment of the contract for future years.
No, that's what you
No,
already
that's
said.
what we just did.
2015, okay. So do we need any other motion?
We need to award the 3% incentive payment for 2015 contract year payable by May 31st.
Okay. So to award the 3% contract incentive for 2015 that would be awarded by May 31st.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so the motion's made by Director Pearson and seconded by Director Ibarra. Is there any discussion on the matter?
I'm a little confused how we did it. I'm so sorry.
This is swing article.
Huh?
This is swing article.
This is-
Basically, this is the one in lieu of the term bonus. This is an incentive, so this is the 3% this year.
We're mandating the term.
Okay.
And we're mandating.
I was confused on the wording of the first one.
Right, me too. But He corrected it, but he didn't reread the whole thing.
Okay, I guess that's what's confusing.
The first one included what?
The first one is to
Extend.
extend the contract a year, get rid of the scholarship provision, and add the 3% retained earnings provision.
Okay,
This one
Okay.
is paid 3%.
This was
Okay.
3%.
Okay.
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 Okay, so is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Okay, so there's 6 in favor, oppositions, and 2 opposed, and the motion passes. The next item is to consider process for issuing community service awards.
This is an item you guys asked us to put on
You're
the
still
agenda.
thinking of the last one.
Yeah, this is, y'all want me to make a motion, or are we discussing it, or?
Well,
what
we
do you
need,
want?
I guess we probably need to make the motion first and then open for discussion.
I don't know what we're talking about.
For community service awards?
No, I know
What-
that. That's the
Oh,
agenda.
okay.
Yeah.
Scott had the
What
idea of.
What I was wanting to do is recognize people in our community that have gone above and beyond, and maybe quarterly bring them in and present them with an award for somebody that's contributed to our community.
Isn't that the job of the Chamber of Commerce?
No, it can be the job of anybody that's, yeah, it's community. I mean, we do community improvement and stuff like that. That's community improvements, as far as I'm concerned, if you make our area better.
You made the motion, I'll second it.
We can get that through, I mean, we can put something on the website for people to nominate people. Just anybody that we feel as a board is,
Would it come on nominations by the public, or would it be nominations by the board?
yeah, it could be either one. I mean, I think it's not something we have to overthink. We can go out and just get people from our community that we've seen has done good.
We can all.
People you've seen out, anybody that has an ideal, let the board pick on it. I mean, pick them.
So it'd be the board making,
Yeah, we can do it that way.
the decision and the award.
Frank could even throw a few names in the hat for us to look at.
This gonna be done monthly or just whenever we think it's.
I think quarterly.
I think quarterly or twice a year.
I just think it would be good to bring somebody in, get people involved in our meeting, give them a pat on the back that people supported FFA, ag, the ballpark.
So if we did it quarter, then maybe we could do a for-profit, a non-profit, a government representative, and maybe one more something.
Why does it have to be somebody, it could be just
One person every quarter.
one person. It could be.
Just somebody in the community.
I'd like to see if Frank and his staff can come back with some proposals, because we need name, we need criteria. Just what do other economic development boards,
Well, we need a title.
are there other programs that we can rip off and duplicate, so it's not a lot of work?
I think like a community builder type of work. The Masonic Lodge has a community builder award we get once a year. And we just take a member of the community who is not linked to the lodge at all, that has done something outstanding in the community, just building community. It's all in one. A lot of places gives a community builder award.
And that's all I'm trying to do is
That's
build
prominent
a
in the
rapport
community.
with our community, get them involved. It doesn't have to be something that's overthought. Just come up with a name once a quarter. If we like it, bring them in and say thank you for what you've done to our community.
And I'd like to keep it away from politics.
Yes, that was my other deal. I don't want it to be elected officials or people that's always, I want it to be a regular person that's out helping, doing something.
Okay, so your motion is to go ahead and do this on a quarterly basis?
Yes, I make a motion that we, what's the best way to word this?
Offer it.
Basically, we offer a community award
Community award?
once every quarter, yes.
Do you want to, just a suggestion, that Frank and staff put something, policy or procedure in writing and bring it back to you, so we're all doing the same thing, rather than just.
Yeah, that's whatever y'all feel like works best.
Because we need some kind of criteria.
Defer a month and come back with formal things so that everybody's on the same page.
Okay,
So we just defer this to the next month's meeting?
yeah, we can defer, that's
Okay.
fine.
It's a great idea, and thank you for bringing that to the board.
So you want to, I want to make sure I'm straight, you want us to bring you some criteria? Is that the deal? Okay, we'll put something together, and then you guys look at it, and then we go and execute it. Okay,
Perfect.
all right, we'll do that.
Great, okay.
Now, let me mention one thing. If you've got some ideas, if you got some ideas, email them to me, okay? Because we might be reaching out and grabbing for the things that you're not envisioning, so send us an email about, well, here's my thoughts on how this should be put together. So send that to us so we have a little guidance as opposed to.
I don't want it to turn out to be, we honor a elected official at election time.
I agree.
I want it to be more personal.
Yeah.
Not just because the constable's done a great job. Or
Well,
just because this.
I tell you with the thought process where I came up with this, I delivered to some of these businesses. Trico Machine's a good one, Thurland Cook. You walk in his office, he has a wall full, probably over $500,000 he spent at FFA through the years. I guarantee you $500,000. It'd be nice to bring him in and take a few minutes and say thank you.
And when he comes in, he's going to bring his entourage in, and maybe we might pick up a few in attendance. So, and they might actually get interested and want to come every time.
It don't have to turn into a big deal as far as put a lot of thought into it. Other than we all see a lot of people in the community that we can select somebody
Who gets
that's
back.
worthy of that,
Someone
gives
who
back
gives
to our
back
community.
Personally,
Yes.
yes, and yes, okay.
I don't want to exclude politicians, but I don't want to make it completely
Right.
political.
Right.
Because I've seen so many awards get watered down. Like
Yeah.
Scott, we used to do that, and I think a quarter is too often. It's turned into something routine instead of being something special.
Maybe.
I think it
Maybe
should be
twice a
something
year.
like maybe once a year and do a nice deal.
Just 6 people tomorrow, that's,
Right.
I mean,
Either that or just do it
But you don't want to water it down.
whenever we decide we want to do it.
Just randomly.
Randomly, yeah, not, because we know every third board meeting, we're going to have to give somebody an award.
We can
All right,
defend it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can always say no less than quarterly.
Yeah, we'll just get you some guidelines put together, and you guys can chew on them and then see how we want to.
Perfect.
Wrap it up.
We'll defer that. Okay, perfect, great, thank you. We'll defer that, but thank you, Scott, for bringing that. That's a great idea, thank you. The last item is to consider matters for possible placement on future agendas.
Now, that thing about Labor Day, I've been wanting to get on there. That'll be next month, right?
Either June or July, one of the two, yes.
Okay.
And I'd like to get it added on there for the board to discuss the possibility of moving our elections to November cycle, save our district the money.
I don't know that, speaking on, because I've done this before, I don't know that this year is legally a year that you can't do it. You have to do
It
it
may
when the
not.
legislature gives you permission.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, but
You're also, your budget, unlike some, like municipal utility districts that have sort of a general, you can have one or the other, you're specifically states the date you can have your elections and the date that the newly elected directors take office. So you take office in July, it says that in the legislation, so I'm not sure you can change it.
You would have to change the
You're
legislation.
not going to the legislature.
And you don't want to change the legislation until you're ready to change a lot of things? Or how's that work?
Well, I wait till the next legislature, 2 years from now.
2 years.
I just know the school districts have done it to save the money and work well.
But the school district will set up a state legislature.
I'll check on it.
Okay.
Them said that would they go back before legislature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Definitely has to be.
Yes.
In
But
2
the
years.
Cities and schools were given the permission to do it on their own. It doesn't include special, what are we, special purposes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of the much work, I'll give you a chance to look it up.
Okay.
And then also either a separate workshop or just in one of our meetings to consider criteria for the additional 3% earnings for customer credit.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, then we will stand adjourned. Thank y'all for waiting. And we are out, and it is 10:35.